And it looks like we are live. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the morning movie chat. I am your host, Trinity. Thank you all so much for being here. I do greatly apologize about the delay. Just kind of a busy morning. And in case you guys can't tell, look, got a clean shave. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well today. Guys, here we are again on Monday, December 30th, 2019. Man, and what a year it's been. It looks like we've only got one day left in the year before we head on into 2020. And God, it's been a pretty good year, a pretty good year in films. And, you could also say at the same time, it's been not the greatest year in films as well. Um, and that's kind of what we're going to discuss today. But before we go ahead and get into that, let me know down in the comments below. What are some of your favorite films of 2019, and what are some of the biggest flops that you've seen or didn't see this year? What are some of your most anticipated films coming up for 2020? Dog School, thank you so much for being here this morning. I greatly appreciate you being here. So close to 1K subs. That's great. Yes, yeah, it's funny is I know just here the other day on Twitter, I went and I made a pretty funny video because what happened was YouTube. Apparently, what happened was there was a I don't know, somewhat of a mix up with with I don't know what's going on. YouTube is not a perfect thing, and what happened. Oh, maybe I shouldn't be sitting there. Maybe I should come out here. What happened was the YouTube studio apparently was having problems, and YouTube studio wasn't matching up with what YouTube like the actual the actual desktop site itself was showing for what people's sub counts were and everything. And I went and I made a video on Twitter because there was a lot of people who were very upset about losing it because some people lost a lot of followers. I know I was setting right at about 900 and I think I was setting right about 910, 915 subscribers. And then I think this purge had happened, or this supposed purge had happened, and I dropped down to, yeah, I want to say it was under 900, probably somewhere around like 880. So it had purged me of like about 30 subscribers or so. And I took to Twitter because a lot of people were kind of upset about that. Naturally, so I mean, a lot of us work very hard trying to build our audiences and things like that. So a lot of people were very upset, and I went and made a video, just kind of laughing and joking about it. And like I said, it's pretty serious stuff. But I went and made a video about it, and I guess it must have worked because a lot of people ended up coming here to the channel and started subscribing. Got a few new subscribers out of that. I don't know. Maybe they just thought I was so handsome, or maybe it's just because I was funny, or whatever the deal is. I don't know, guys. But again, I do appreciate anybody that comes here to the channel and subscribes. I do greatly appreciate all of you people. And no, I don't mean you people, but I mean you people. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys for being here. But yeah, I noticed last night. It seemed like sometime like late last night, everything started to add back up. It seemed like the YouTube studio finally was aligning with what was saying on the main YouTube page. So yeah, that's very cool. And again, I appreciate all the support from you guys. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing these live shows. I wouldn't be doing these videos. Well, I probably would still be doing them, but probably the frequency probably wouldn't be as much as it is. Compared to having all you awesome people here interacting in the chat. So yeah, it was and that's I guess I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for all of you guys for being here, coming here every day, watching the videos, and helping spread the word about this nerd who likes to talk about movies and comic books here on YouTube. I greatly do appreciate that. Um, Dog School says best Avengers Endgame, Joker, and Knives Out. Worst Rise of Skywalker and Cats. Yeah, I was gonna say, and that's I would say that's a pretty good list. I honestly haven't seen Knives Out. I am interested in seeing that, and I know that's one of those movies that's kind of controversial out there because it was directed by Ryan Johnson, and many people are turned off from Ryan Johnson for because of what happened with the Last Jedi, which I guess I can somewhat understand that, but sometimes I think some people aren't as forgiving in knowing that just because a great filmmaker doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to make a great film every single time, and it certainly doesn't mean I think and I've talked about this before here on the channel that, but my hat is really off to any filmmaker willing to go out there and make a franchise film, especially one that's existed for so long, like a Star Wars, because it's a beloved franchise. A lot of people absolutely love Star Wars, and you're taking on quite a load when you go out there and when you go out there trying to make a film like a Star Wars movie, because you've got a lot to live up to. People look at these films, and like I said, Star Wars has been around for what, 40 years, and actually just a little over 40 years, as a matter of fact. So it's something that a lot of people are really emotionally attached to. Um, like for like I know the first Star Wars premiered in theaters, a little while before I was even born. So I get that. And and I've talked about that before here on the channel, in the challenge in going through and making a movie like that, and trying to pay I guess it's due respect, if you will, and making a film like that, and doing good with it, because everybody, and that's the real challenge, because everybody kind of has their idea of what they want to see when it comes to a movie like Star Wars, and there I can guarantee you there's two different people out there, two different people who are passionate about Star Wars, that have different takes on what they think should happen and what they think is important when making a movie like that. So regardless of what you think about Ryan Johnson, or even The Last Jedi, or even J.J. Abrams and The Rise of Skywalker, um, there's a lot. There's a lot. They're taking on a lot, and really challenging themselves when making a movie like this for an audience, because it is one of those franchises that people are so passionate about. And I think it's a little different when it comes to movies that like you mentioned here with Avengers Endgame, or even a Joker, in the fact that in the fact that these are while Marvel and DC have been around for a very long time, I do think that it's probably a little easier there, because the MCU hasn't been around as long. They haven't been um, they don't have the decades of movies under their belt that people have grown to be passionate about. Now, however, over the last 10 years, obviously Marvel Studios has done a lot in building a universe and getting people passionate about it. And we can see that even they have their faults. They're not the best at how would you say, respecting the source material, and doing the characters 100% right. But again, I'm willing to give them a little bit, because there some of these things, especially when it comes to like comic books and a comic book movie, is is the fact that some of the things that you go to do on a movie like that are going to be a little more of a challenge, because you can't do everything in a live in a live action movie that you would normally do in a in just like a regular movie. Some of the things that you can get away with there, you can't quite bring everything from a comic book into the movies. But yeah, so let's see. Discovery Bay, what's up? How are you doing this morning? And Thomas Gilkey, thank you so much for being here. I do greatly appreciate that. And I guess, guys, what we're talking about here is some of the best movies of 2019, and just movies in general of 2019, and even looking forward into 2020. What are some of your most anticipated films coming out? And I guess we could start the year. The 2019 started off. It seemed like it wasn't going to be the biggest year for a lot of studios out there, but there was a lot of movies that came out in 2019, as there's pretty much is every single year. Um, I know one of the first movies I remember going out to see at the theater this year was uh, was Glass. Did any of you guys get out to see Glass, the newest M Night Shyamalan movie? I know I did. I thought it was a pretty good film. Um, it wasn't the best film. M Night Shyamalan seems to be up and down. He's not the he's he's definitely had his ups and downs. I'll put it to you that way. Um, and I think Glass is one of those films that really depends, and that's the beauty of the subjectivity of films is, Glass is one of those films that a lot of people may not like. Some people, may have expected more. But me myself, I gotta say, I remember going to the theater and seeing it. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was maybe just. I'm not sure if I can say that it was a little bit better than the movie Split, which it was a sequel to, or not. All I know is I was hyped up to see the film because the way the movie Split had ended, with James McAvoy, and then you see at the end of the movie, it just starts panning through that diner, and all of a sudden it ends on David Dunn, and it's just kind of like, ooh, what we got coming here, and I think it was maybe about was it 2 years later we finally got Glass, and I thought it was a pretty good film. Nothing, it wasn't like a really great film, something to write home about or anything, but I thought it was pretty good. Although it did seem pretty anticlimactic, but I think that's something just kind of about a M Night Shyamalan film that a lot of people kind of understand when going into them. You either like M Night Shyamalan or you don't, and it really doesn't matter the talent that you have on screen when it comes to some of those things, because really what it comes down to, and that's something I've come to learn more and more as I've grown older, is just when it comes to films, a lot more important things when it comes to a film is not just the actors that are in it. The actors are one of the smallest parts, really, if you think about it. They're just what kind of portrays the film, where it's more the vision of the director and the producer. Sometimes you go out and see a movie maybe because who's producing it, what studio, and not even necessarily what studio, but this producer actually behind it. Like if you heard of Kevin Feige, if he went out and did a film outside of the MCU and produced a film outside of the MCU, chances are there's a lot of people who would go see it just due to the fact that his name is attached. And I think the same thing, goes for directors and things like that as well. And I think Glass was one of those films. A lot of people, I think, it felt let down by that. Although I've got to say, I would question why they would be, considering, I don't know, I guess the track record that M Night Shyamalan has had. But again, I thought it was a pretty good film. Seemed like a little less action, more of a little kind of psychological kind of film, I guess you could say, kind of like Split was, and even kind of like Unbreakable itself was. Because Unbreakable, if you go back and watch it, it's a slow moving film. It's really just a story, an origin story about a guy and a character finding out that he had superpowers. And coming into his own, I guess. So Glass is one of those ones. I don't know, what have you guys seen Glass, and if so, what did you guys think about it? Let's see, Maz Z, what's up, my brother? How you doing? He says Glass was great, didn't quite reach my top 10. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say it was definitely on my top 10 at all, neither. But again, I thought it was a pretty good movie. I thought it was a pretty good movie. And like I said, one that if you're an M Night Shyamalan fan, or definitely if you're on Unbreakable and Split, one that you definitely want to add into your collection. James Clark, artist, what's up, my brother? How are you doing? Dylan's comic book rants, how are you doing? He says, why are you outside, bro? Oh, just well, because I get loud. My family's in the house, sleeping and everything, getting ready to. We're gonna be going out to. I don't know, the kind of day it is out here. You guys can see that. Look at that, man. It's beautiful here where my sister lives. Um, but we're going to be going out to Bruce Lee's gravesite a little bit later today. Probably going to go check a few other things out down in the Seattle area. So yeah, that's why I'm hanging out outside, man. Just here on vacation, and like I said, I think most everybody is still sleeping. But so yeah, again, Glass was a good one. What was another film that came out this year besides Glass that was a good one? I know. How about Captain Marvel? Did you guys go out and see Captain Marvel? I know. I know the reactions I'm gonna get here. I know a lot of people didn't really like Captain Marvel. I know there's this is another one of those films of the year that I think people would definitely be looking at and questioning about how whether they like it or not, whether it's good or not. It's definitely going to be one of those ones that has a mixed reaction. But I've got to say, and I've talked about it several times here on the channel. You can go watch my reviews on it. Is I like Captain Marvel. I thought the movie itself was pretty good. The film itself was pretty good. Now, at the time, I'm not really invested and hadn't really known a whole lot about the character of Captain Marvel, herself or himself. And that was one of the things, going into it, which I'm kind of glad because, I know that there was a lot of people outraged and didn't want to go out and see this movie by some comments that Brie Larson had made at a Women in Films awards ceremony about the movie A Wrinkle in Time, and just some of the other things that she had said while she was there on stage. They came off as quite controversial. Now I do have to say, when it comes to Brie Larson and what she said, I myself, I don't really care. I don't care what a lot of these stars think and say. Like their personal thoughts on things, their personal politics and stuff like that. Hey, they're free to go ahead and air those out, but at this point, we know, especially in this day and age, that these kinds of things really do affect not only the box office, but how people want to go out there, people wanting to go out and watch these films as well. And she certainly set social media and just kind of the world afire with some of these things, with the current state of what everything is. But some of the things she said in that thing, like I kind of agree with, but there's a better way to go about saying it than the way she said it. If she would have just talked about having more people, more different reviewers going out to review the films rather than, oh, she don't care what some 40-year-old white guy thinks about A Wrinkle in Time. That's just not the way you say it. For one, I mean, you're calling out you're calling out people's races, you're calling out people's ages and things like that. So, I mean, there was a lot that goes around in that. So I completely understand the controversy around what she said last year during that award ceremony. So, a lot of people didn't like it, and I can't blame them. Everybody has their own thoughts when it comes to those kinds of things. And me, like I said, I don't care what a lot of these people think or say in these interviews. Like, and again, this wasn't what she said wasn't even in an interview. It was something that she had said at a Women in Films awards show. So I guess if there was any place to say those kinds of things, that would have been it. But no, that there's more than just women watching that. You know what I mean? And we've seen that a lot these days with people kind of alienating their audiences with some of the comments that they say in some of these interviews and things. For me, I always say there's a time and a place to make those kinds of statements. And I guess women in films might be a little bit more of a place to talk about wanting female movie reviewers and critics to be present at film screenings and things like that. But just because you want to uh, say that there should be more women and prominent in those kinds of things doesn't mean that you have to do it at the behest of other people. It doesn't mean you have to throw shade, if you will, at other people. So I completely understand people's reasons for a lot of those, a lot of their. They're not liking that. I get it. But again, the movie Captain Marvel itself, I thought as a movie, it was pretty good. When it comes to the respecting the source material, it wasn't that great. But overall, I thought it was okay. I know there's a lot of people who went out there and talking about, a lot of the just things in feminism in the film, and and just things like that. I seen on Young Ripper 5 9's video last night, somebody even talking about racism in the film, and I'm like, I don't really know that I picked up on any racism necessarily for the film, but definitely some of the feminism in there. And again, none of these things are bad things if they're done in the right way. And I think for the most part, Ryan Fleck and Anna Boden actually did a pretty decent job making the film. But it definitely has its faults, and it definitely has a lot of places where it could be a whole lot better of a film. But for me personally, I thought the movie was pretty good. It's not one of the best MCU films for me. I think it falls somewhere right in the middle of all of the films out there. I think for me, it's probably ranks, I don't know, maybe about 11 or 12 um, out of the 20, what is it, 22 films now that we've got in the MCU. So yeah, I don't know, but let me know what you guys think about Captain Marvel down in the comments below. Um, let's see. James Clark says, "What's up, bro? How are you doing?" Dylan's comic book rant says, "Hell yeah! I feel it looks like a hell of a view. Yeah, it is. It's actually pretty nice, and I'm surprised right now. Yesterday morning, um, we seen there was even some deer roaming around in the here in the front yard because they live like right here. You can see right behind me, just off their out of their front porch. They've got, right back there. They've got the forest back there, and it pretty much wraps around all their house. I mean, they got a neighbor on the one side of them, and on the back side right over here. Uh, I don't believe there's anybody there. Right behind him, because right across here, there's a street that turns left here. But yeah, there's plenty of I guess forest, if you will, wilderness back there behind me. And yeah, so occasionally some deer come out here, some deer come out to play, and it's pretty cool, seeing that. And apparently they have had a bear come out as well. They seen a bear while they were sitting there eating one day. So yeah, yeah, it's very nice out here. Again, like for me, like I like where I live at in Southern California. I like it's kind of got a little bit of everything, but where I live at, we pretty much only have two seasons of the year. We've got spring and we've got summer. We don't really get a winter at all. But it is nice, like for me, like just up here in this area, it just rains too much for my taste. Um, Other than that, I could take it if it was, like snow and all that stuff. I have no problem with that. But yeah, just I'm not, I don't really like the rain. But yeah, it's definitely pretty nice. Definitely pretty nice. Um, the haunted says, "Yo, can I drop a link?" Well, haunted, what kind of link are you trying to drop? That's really what matters. Are you just here to try to promote yourself on my channel? Um, if that's all you're trying to do, I mean, you're already asking if you can drop a link. I mean, you're starting off on the wrong foot. I'm not sure if you're new to this game or not, but the easiest way, if you're just starting out trying to build your channel and stuff, or even, I've even seen people who have thousands of viewers who are out there just trying to self promote by dropping links in people's chats and stuff. That's not how you do it. It's not how you do it. You know what you do is you come into a room and you interact with people and you add value to others. You give them reasons for wanting to interact with you. But I mean, just coming in here haunted and asking if you can drop a link, no. The answer is absolutely no. Absolutely not. You cannot. And I've got mods in here that will probably not let it drop anyway. That you could try to drop it all you want, but my mods, I can guarantee you, I've got some great ones out there. We'll get rid of your link because we don't care. We don't even know who you are. Does anybody know who the haunted is? I don't even know who you are. Um, I mean, if I knew who you were and thought you were somebody that I would like to promote or somebody I'd like to interact with, I'd probably say sure. Like if you were a Dylan's comic book rant, or if you were a James Clark, or even if you were a Captain Pennsylvania or Sith Lord, I would say hell yeah, go ahead and drop your link, and we'll go ahead and make sure that we do whatever we can for you. But we don't even know who you are. You can buzz off, like we don't know who you are. Just hang out in the chat and be cool, and we'll happily we'll probably go and check your channel out. Don't just be dropping links out of acts of desperation, or asking if you can drop your link in my chat without me even knowing who you are. This is the first time I've ever even seen your name before. So the answer is absolutely not. Absolutely not. Take that shit somewhere else. Go to somewhere else and go to somebody else's channel where they don't care about that. But you're not here to self promote yourself. I mean, unless I would like to promote you. Like I said, like some of my other friends here, like a Dylan's comic book rants, like a Captain Pennsylvania, some of these other great people who are part of the Second Street community, the 507 family, if you will, here. So no, take a hike. Just sit there in the chats and be cool and interact with everybody. Um, Miles Z says Captain Marvel was so generic. It was just okay. And oh man, I missed it. Let me see what else you had to say there. Endgame, however, oh man. Oh yeah, yeah. Endgame, yeah. Endgame was absolutely great. Dylan's comic book rant says, yeah, I saw it twice in theaters. Saw Endgame like 4 times. Yeah. And James Clark says, "Back to work." All right, James, you have a good day, man. Thanks for being here and checking the stream out for a little while. Yeah, I seen Captain Marvel. I want to say I seen Captain Marvel 2 times, maybe 3 times at the theater. Like I said, I thought it was pretty good. But again, yeah, I mean, it could be a whole lot better. And yeah, if we want to talk about Endgame now. Yeah, Endgame. I saw that 4 times in theater opening weekend. I went Thursday night. I went Friday. I went Saturday, and I even went on Sunday. And I got to tell you, after going and seeing it on that Thursday night, and you know what's funny is, we had all the warnings about, hey, this movie's almost 3 hours long and all this stuff. Make sure you're prepared. Don't drink too much and all that kind of stuff. Man, I gotta say that was like the first time ever I've ever had a problem with like needing to use the restroom. Like usually I can sit through a movie cool and never any problems. Of course, that time when I'm supposed to be prepared is the one time I had to go so bad. And I think God, what was it about the point of right when Hulk got introduced? It was like right after that because I know that was the one thing, a lot of the reviewers who had seen it beforehand were saying when the Hulk scene comes up, if you need to go, that's where you go. That's about the only point. It was shortly after that point when I had to go use the restroom, so I sat there needing to go like a racehorse for like the next hour and a half, 2 hours. But yeah, Endgame, that movie is definitely one for the times. As for one, it was a big epic movie. It was the culmination of these 10 years that Marvel had built up through a number of films, and they really did something that nobody else had done before when it comes to films. Nobody's ever really done something like this, and Kevin Feige. Went out there and did some really great work with this film, and just honestly, and just building the MCU with Marvel Studios and everything all together. I mean, I honestly don't know if it's anything that'll be replicated ever again. I mean, they pretty much started it, and I don't even think it's going to be the same for them. And this was such an epic event. Like I remember just like even going to the theater to see Avengers Endgame, like you could feel the electricity in the air, man. Like everybody was ready for it. Remember when Mjolnir first flew into Cap's hand, and everybody went ape shit at the theater when that happened, and I remember it too. And I remember, like me, I'm not a loud moviegoer, but I remember seeing it. I was like, oh damn, like that was so cool. Um, yeah, and that was really great seeing some of those things. It was really a very great spectacle to see on the theater, and that was one of those movies definitely was worth seeing on IMAX on the big screen. Definitely. Um, let's see. Dylan's comic book rant says, "Yeah, I could care less about her comments. Had no effect on me when I saw the movie." Yeah, and again for me, like I can separate what some of these stars say in an interview from what their job is and stuff like that. Like I don't care about that kind of stuff. I either want to see the movie or I don't. You know what I mean? And that's ultimately what it comes down to. It. No matter what anybody's going to say in an interview isn't going to affect whether I want to see the movie or not. Really it's up to the movie to sell itself, a trailer to sell itself, or sometimes even the actors and producers and things like that. And we can see, there's been some stumbles out there when it comes to those kinds of things. But yeah, for me mostly I don't care. Captain Pennsylvania says it was good. What's up? Yeah, yeah, I thought it was a pretty good movie. The Captain Marvel movie was. I'm guessing that's when you left us, and even Avengers Endgame, obviously. Bearded Prince says, "Are you on weed?" I am not. I am not. Not currently. And believe me, I live in a state where it's perfectly fine. And I'm self-employed, so I don't have to worry about anybody. Have to worry about anybody worrying if my pee is any good for them. Sith Lord says the good ganja. Nice. Yeah. Um, but again, I don't promote drug use or anything like that. And when I talk about drugs, I'm mostly talking about pharmaceuticals. Those things aren't good for you. Dylan's comic book rant says, that his only fact is that that's his only comment. Can I drop a link? I know, dude, what's wrong with you, man? Like, you just come into people's chats and you just want to drop your links in here. Like, come on, bro. You want to drop your link? I got a link. I'll show you, pal. Although that'd probably be best for like Pornhub or something. I know I'm being bad. I'm being bad. Um, Sith Lord says nada. Exactly. Never seen him before either. Don't know the dude. Yeah, nobody knows who this dude is. Dude don't even have a channel. See, and that's the thing. What link do you want to drop in my chats? You don't even have a channel. You know what I mean? You're here to promote. What are you here to promote? Like take a hike, pal. Um, yeah. So Captain Pennsylvania says, "Somebody boo this man." I got that reference. I know that one. Yeah, I love that movie. Oh man, this comic book rant says Trinity is the truth. Yeah, and like I said, if you're somebody here who's cool, feel free to drop a link. I'm sure one of the mods will happily approve that. And I probably need to get a few more mods out there. Like Dylan's comic book rants would be a good one. I can't do it right here from where I'm at right now on this app, but yeah, like Miles Z, if he wanted to drop a link in here, sure. Miles Z is a cool dude, man. I love the dude's channel. He does a lot of movie reviews and things as well, and hell, he does it better than I do. You know what I mean? So, hey, if he dropped a link in here, cool. Captain Pennsylvania says I saw Endgame 11 times in the theater. Holy crap, dude! That's a lot of times to see Endgame in the theater. Sith Lord says twice for me. Um, This comic grant says, dude, I would have been pissing in a bottle before leaving. Yeah, me too. Me too. Definitely. Um, yeah, that's got to be a record. You know what? I know there was a guy who went out. I know you could probably find him on YouTube. He went and seen uh, like Avengers Infinity War like I can't even remember how many times he's seen it in theater. Like he practically lived in the movie theater when that came out. Um, Captain Pennsylvania says, bro, saw it 24 times overall. I'm addicted. Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. And hell, it was a big spectacle of a movie. Now, for me, Endgame, it's not the greatest of the MCU movies. Like I really like the movie, but I honestly think that Infinity War was just a little bit better. Just a little bit better. Um not by much, but I think it was. Captain Pennsylvania says, "I cried when Cap said Avengers Assemble." Oh yeah, man, that was definitely a pretty emotional moment. Also, when Black Widow sacrificed herself for the Soul Stone, just great stuff, great stuff. The Russo brothers are definitely some great filmmakers, and I know everybody out there wants them to come back into the MCU and make some more movies. But for me, honestly, I want to see them go and do more. I think they have more to offer. Just like I was even talking about yesterday on somebody on Just a Nerdy podcast channel. They were doing uh, one of their podcasts that they released yesterday at Premiere, and I think that's what channel it was on, and they were talking about John Favreau possibly. I think it was them. Possibly being handed Lucasfilm, and me, I'm against that. John Favreau would basically become the overseer of Lucasfilm and things like that with the Star Wars. I don't want that only because I feel that Jon Favreau has a lot more to offer us than just Star Wars films. He built his career making great great films with great writing, great stories, great character development and things like that in them. If you haven't seen Swingers, if you haven't seen Made, if you haven't seen Chef, you need to go out and watch these movies. Certainly a lot better than what he's done even with Star Wars and even some of his other films that he has done as of recent with the Disney live action remakes. But I'm not saying I'm against it, but I would rather see him do more because if you go and take over Lucasfilms, you're pretty much dedicating your life to that. You're no longer going out there and making some of the films that I'm used to seeing from Jon Favreau. But that's just me. Um, Dylan's comic book rant says, "Hell yeah, I've seen it since it came out so many times. Just only four in the theater though. As so much fun. Best movie experience I've had since Infinity War. Yeah, definitely, definitely." Um, Captain Pennsylvania says, "Great movie made for us. I enjoy watching an Infinity War and Endgame together." Yeah, definitely, definitely. Uh, Sith Lord says Captain Marvel was bland and definitely bottom of all the MCU flicks for me. I can understand that. I understand that, and I understand what you're saying with like some of the blandness and you know being bottom for you. That's perfectly acceptable for me. I think on my list, the I think the very bottom is probably I want to say it's Incredible Hulk, and then you know like honestly. I'm not the biggest fans of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I like them, don't get me wrong, but for me, they're more towards the bottom of the list. And you know what? There's one out there. This is controversial. I actually like Thor: The Dark World. I do. I like it. I think it's a good movie. I mean, it's not like the greatest though, neither. J528, what's up? He says I hear someone dropping links. What's up, man? How you doing? Uh, Let's see. Dylan's comic book rant says, "Yeah, watching back to back is the absolute best. Yeah, definitely, definitely. I haven't done that in a while. You know, one of these days, I need to. Maybe I'll have a marathon at my house when I get home. You know, get some friends, bring them over, and we'll start doing an MCU marathon. Or maybe I'll do that with you guys, and we'll discuss all the movies. You know, maybe leading in before we get Black Widow comes. Um, Let's see. Captain Pennsylvania says, "Oh, Biden Dirty, what's up? How are you doing, Biden? Ooh, that's Biden Dirty, not Biden Touch today. Thank you so much for being here." Um, let's see. Captain Pennsylvania says, "After I take my locks out, I think I'll do it today." Oh, okay, nice, nice. Um, the Senate says, "I saw Endgame once in my room on my phone." That's not the way to see it, man. You gotta watch that thing on the big screen, bro. Dylan's comic book rant says just Jay some random ass, but we kicked into the curb. Yeah, man, that's funny, man. That's funny, dude. Like, what's with people and doing that stuff? You know what I mean? Like, I think you know when I first started YouTube, I never even did that. You know what I mean? Like, I just went into other people's chats and just started chatting it up and talking with people and interacting. I mean, that's the easiest way if you want if you want to you know try to bring people to your channel or even just interact with people and you know and stuff like that. Captain Pennsylvania says Winter Soldier is tops. Yeah, Winter Soldier is definitely one of the best MCU films there is. Definitely, it's definitely in my top five. um, let's see. J528 says never heard of any of those films. Oh, okay. Oh, which ones? Which ones was it? Which ones was I talking about? Um, Man, can't even remember think of which one I was talking about that you might not have heard of. Oh, you're probably talking about the Favreau films. Oh yeah, yeah. You got to go watch Made and Swingers. Hilarious movies, and definitely Chef. Chef is one of those movies like it got me because I always wanted to have like a food truck anyway. Before I even started the business I'm doing now, I actually wanted to start a mobile juice bar and do just juices and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, you should definitely check out any of Jon Favreau's films, whether he was just acting in them or whether he was actually in them. Like go out and watch CPU, hilarious movie, and it's got Jeremy Piven in there. Man, that one's a really good one, a really good one about some people going to college and they end up having these big. It's just a good movie. CPU is definitely. Um, J528 says Winter Soldier is the best MCU film. Fight me. Yeah, I was gonna say I want to say that it's if it's not I don't think it's my number one. It might be number two or number three. Because I'll tell you right now, like for me, I absolutely love the Ant-Man films. I just love what Paul Rudd does in those films, the way they're done and everything, especially that first one. The Ant-Man and Wasp, it's not as good, but I still do like that one as well. Um, Sith Lord says only a few of the MCU films were kind of eh. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Nerdy Blurb TV, what's up, my brother? How are you doing? Um, you know that's another great creator. If you guys don't know Ryan over at Nerdy Blurb TV, you guys definitely need to go check out his channel. One of my favorite content creators here on YouTube, and one of the first people who actually kind of started interacting with and made friends here with on YouTube. He's a great dude, man, a great dude. Can't wait to meet him in person, like actually meet him in person. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure that we're probably gonna give him a big bear hug, and he's probably gonna squeeze my head off. um, Let's see. Captain Pennsylvania says, I feel Dark World. I liked it. I also like Iron Man 3. You know what? I like Iron Man 3 myself as well. Definitely like Iron Man 3. I like Iron Man 3 more than I like Iron Man 2. And I think Iron Man 2 is pretty good. I mean, that's when we got the introduction of Black Widow. Um, Biden Dirty says Dark World. If they had a better villain and plot, would have saved it. That's a lot though. Yeah, I hear you with the villain. I think Malekith was a good villain. Just could have been done better. Could have been done better. So I understand. I get you, Biden Dirty. Definitely, I hear you. Nerdy Blue TV says down for an MCU marathon watchathon. Definitely, yeah. Yeah, we need to do that sometime. Figure out a way to do that. I know there's apps and things out there where you can do that with your audience, where you can sit there and interact with each other as you all kind of sync up and watch the movie together. I need to figure out what that app is, and maybe I need to get a hold of Josh from the Den of Nerds because I think I heard him talking about that before. Biden Dirty says, I morph into Biden Dirty at times. Not sure if it's voluntary or not. I hear you. I hear you. J 528 says, Iron Man 1, Winter Soldier, Avengers are my favorite. Yeah, Avengers, again, Avengers is one of those great ones. It was the first time in one of these superhero movies that we got a full ensemble cast, and it was actually handled really well. I know some people have their thoughts about Joss Whedon and stuff like that, and I get that as well. And we can see, one of the things I don't like that Joss Whedon did with like the Avengers and even Avengers: Age of Ultron is something that I like that the Russo brothers did, and even Jon Favreau himself did, was it seemed like Joss Whedon made Black Widow more of a love interest as opposed to like she was more there for that being a love interest as opposed to being a well-rounded character who helped drive the story and helped carry the film. You know what I mean? While she was important, I felt that she was more of a love interest as opposed to being the well-rounded character that we now have today in most of the other films. Where I just think she was handled better by the Russo brothers myself. Um, let's see, Avengers 2020. Nerdy Blurb says Avengers 2012, Winter, and Endgame are my top three. Nice. Sith Lord says they did way better on Ant Man than I thought they would. Yeah, definitely. And for one, I thought it was going to be great because Paul Rudd. I just love Paul Rudd. He's just great and just about everything that he does. Um, he says in-person meetups is gonna happen, bro. Oh yeah, it's going to, Ryan. It's going to. Captain Pennsylvania says, if you look really close, you can see me in Winter Soldier on the bridge scene holding my Pennsylvania shaped shield. Really? Really? Huh. I'll have to check that out. Um, See if you can find like a timestamp or whatnot. And I'd like to see that. I mean, if you're being serious there, Captain Pennsylvania, I'd like to see that. See if you can find a timestamp for that. I'd love to check that out. Um, Notably, Burb TV says, I don't think there's an MCU movie I hate, but Hulk and Ant-Man and Wasp is on my bottom. Ant-Man and Wasp, unfriended, unfollowed. I'm just kidding. And that's the beauty of the subjectivity of films, is everybody has different things on different things they like. Um, Captain Pennsylvania says, Josh just says what time to start the movie. Oh, okay. All right. Kobe, what's up, my brother? How are you doing? Again, you see right here, like Kobe is another one of those guys, you want to come in here and drop links in my chat? Kobe's more than welcome to do it. Captain Pennsylvania can do it. Ryan can do it. Pretty much everybody here can do it except for that guy that has to do it because we don't know who you are. Because these guys are great. For one, they're great YouTubers and they interact with us. They're cool people. So so yeah. But you guys should definitely go check out Kobe's channel, man. Great young man. Does movie reviews and things like that, and very well spoken. Kermit the Log, what's up, my brother? How are you doing? Hashtag Cotton Connection. Yeah, man. Again, Kermit's another one of those guys that's absolutely great too. Um, so now moving on, there are what other movies out there came out in 2019 that came out thought were really good. One I've talked about several times here on the channel, and if LB if LB ends up here from Lonely Banter ends up here, I know he's gonna say something about these. Like he's gonna roll his eyes in the back of his head and say, "You talking about this movie again?" bruh. And that's Dora the Explorer and the Lost City of Gold. Yes, yes. Hey, man, I've got three kids. I've got three kids, so I had to take them to see the movie. They liked the movie. I liked the movie. It was one of those, like, it was a real surprise seeing the Dora the Explorer movie. And I think most of the people I've seen that reviewed the movie actually did gave it really good ratings because it was one of those movies that obviously it's made for kids, but it really did a good job in doing it. It knew what it was and it knew what it wasn't, and it didn't try to go outside of that box. It tried to stay basically within its comfort zone, but it did a really good job paying homage to the cartoon, and even in what they did with the Dora character, where in case you didn't see it, she's a little bit older. She's a teenager going to high school, and they did a lot of really great things with that movie. Again, like hats off to the filmmakers who made this movie because they knew exactly what they were doing. Michael Pena's in it, Eva Longoria's in it, and I got to tell you, Eva Longoria, man, she kind of was she just kind of starting to show her age? Did she like I don't know. She looked she looked a little bit older in the movie. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not really like a big Eva Longoria fan, but she looked like a far cry from what she used to be in what was that Desperate Housewives TV show? I never watched the show. I just remember it was a big deal and a lot of people were talking about it back in the day. But Dora the Explorer was a very good movie. I thought it was good and quite touching. It had a lot of good messages in it. For families and again just a cute well done movie. What else came out this year? Spider-Man Far From Home, another great film, but definitely not one of my favorites. You guys know I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man's probably my favorite Marvel character aside from Wolverine. But Far From Home and even Homecoming, like I'm not the biggest fan of MCU Spider-Man, just because for me he's more like the Dan Slott Spider-Man, where for me Peter Parker doesn't look up to Tony Stark. That's BS. You know what I mean? I don't like that. And for one, in case you guys don't know me here, Tony Stark is barely a hero. He's barely a hero. He's not the greatest guy in the world. He's barely a hero. He's always just seems to be out for himself, and he's not just for me. He's just not the greatest. I'm not a huge fan of Tony Stark in the MCU. Although I got to tell you, like I love Iron Man. I love Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3. But again, I don't think that Peter Parker should be looking up to Tony Stark. Um, he shouldn't be using Tony Stark's suits that he made for him. Spider-Man makes his own suits. He made his own web shooters. Yeah, So that's just some of my nitpicks. But Far From Home was a really great film as well. Again, really, I think the cast was great. Jake Gyllenhaal did a great job in it. I loved his Mysterio. I think one of my favorite parts in the movie was when he first comes out, when they're at that bar, when Peter leaves after leaving him the glasses, and they have that whole little, they're having their whole little shindig and everything there. To me, that was great. To me, that was like Mysterio kind of stuff that you would see, where you see the guy, he's great at his special effects and everything, but he's still somewhat kind of a hack and kind of a silly guy. You know what I mean? While still being a very formidable foe. So Far From Home was another great one that I've seen this year. What else was there? Hobbs and Shaw. I own the movie. I even gave away a copy on my 1 year anniversary, but I still haven't finished the movie. I still haven't finished it. I've missed a couple of parts on it, mainly just because I start watching it at the wrong time every single time that I sit down to watch it. It's either late or just got other things going on, and I kind of end up getting distracted. But I did see a pretty good majority of the film, and it was a movie that kind of pulled me back in because I completely lost interest in the Fast and Furious franchise. Probably around, was it Fast Five? Was that the one that Gal Gadot was in? The first one, I think. I don't know. The one, whatever one they started dropping all the cars and all the cargo off of that cargo ship. The big old jumbo ship that was flying through the air, the big old airplane. That movie, like I started falling asleep in that, and just because it wasn't for me, it wasn't a great movie. Those movies lost me somewhere around there, and I didn't watch any since then. But Hobbs and Shaw was one of those ones that seemed so over the top, ridiculous. Like I've got to see this movie. Got to see this movie. Um, because those characters are great. Dwayne the Rock Johnson has come around as being a much better actor, getting a little more well-rounded, growing in his acting chops, if you will, at emoting and different things like that. Obviously, Jason Statham is a good actor, great action film star, and then And then it's got Idris Elba in it. You know, I think Idris Elba is a hell of an actor. He's very great. I think one of my favorite films I seen him in was Molly's Game. You know, there's this, especially this particular scene where he was sitting there with the other lawyers and even Molly herself, as they were there having that they were there having a discussion about her case. And he does this like this monologue, and it looks like it's all done in one take. And every single time I watch that scene, man, it makes me like emotional and like and my hair stands up. I think the first time I seen it, like I think I actually even got a tear in my eye because I was like, damn man, like he knocked that scene out of the park, man. Like we already knew that Idris Elba was good anyway, but whew, man, even just thinking about it, my hair's standing up. Maybe it's just because it's a little chilly out here. It's not like cold, but you know, it's chilly. But yeah, that was another good one that came out this year as well, Hobbs and Shaw. And let's not forget, how could we forget John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum. Man, that movie was a great one. Definitely, and I was talking about this one day too. To me, John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, it's one of those movies that I think it's a little bit better than the first one. Is it? I'd have to watch them all again over to say that for sure. But I think it's definitely one of those films that comes out and proves that you can be better than the first movie in a franchise. And I think that's quite a challenge. And for me, I think a lot of that, a lot of why everybody always says that the first in a franchise is good, like you can't really beat it with a sequel or anything, is because writers and filmmakers, they have to work a little bit harder when doing a first movie because you get the setup of the character and you have to introduce them and get people into the movie to bring them in to get them interested in wanting to see the film. So there's all that buildup. You get that close connection with the characters. You start to get invested in them, and you hopefully get a good story. And I think that's something very important. Like Jack Reacher is a great example where the first one was really great, and then you watch the second Jack Reacher movie. It's like, oh, it was good, but it's not as good as the first one was. But I think John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum actually, I think it actually takes it up a notch from what the first one was. Now, I think the biggest challenge there when it comes between say doing a first movie and a sequel is not only the fact that you got to try to live up to what you did in the first film, but one of the biggest thing is you're not having to go through and show the roots of that character and build them up to get people invested in them. That's already done. So that means that you've got to create a movie where you bring them back into the world and build up this world around them and tell a great, interesting story. And I think with John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, I think they did that. I think the only reason, without sitting down and just watching them both back to back, the only reason that chapter one or that the first John Wick movie is better is because of exactly that, where we're getting that setup of the characters and things like that. And it was also the first time that we've seen a lot of this, the action that we got out of John Wick, out of this John Wick franchise. So I think I think John Wick Chapter 3 was one of those films that is just a little bit better than its predecessors. Definitely. Let's see what other films came out this year. Secret Life of Pets 2. I'm not sure if you guys seen that one. I thought Secret Life of Pets 2 I thought it was a pretty decent movie, but it's one of those ones that, again, I think its biggest challenge is trying to outdo the first one, especially when you lose a talent like Louis C.K., who wasn't in the movie due to some controversy over some things that he had done in his personal life. And I get that, uh, where all the controversy was there. But Secret Life of Pets 2, it wasn't quite where Secret Life of Pets was at. I think probably by, I wouldn't say by a far cry, but just definitely by quite a big. There's quite a bit of distance between the two. Um, let's see. J528 says, "Oh, Spider Twink. Yeah, I don't like his MCU films as much. Yeah, and for me, it's just like just kind of the things I explained. I mean, I think Tom Holland he's a great actor, and he's probably a good person to play Spider-Man, Peter Parker. But for me, and I've talked about this before too, I think the perfect Spider-Man is probably a combination of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and the Tom Holland Spider-Man. Like if you could take and just clump them all together into one, I think that's your perfect Spider-Man right there. But get rid of that whole him looking up to Tony Stark thing. Captain Pennsylvania says it's all about Steve and Scott Summers. Yeah, yeah. Steve Rogers definitely great. Scott Summers, I can't wait till we get him in the MCU. I hope they finally do Scott Summers right. Just like right now in the comic books, they're finally starting to do Scott Summers right. They're finally starting to bring him some justice, man. This dude's supposed to be the leader of the X-Men, and yeah, and even back in the day, I thought James Marsden was actually a great Scott Summers. It's just his movie, the movie that he was in and the role that he got, just it wasn't the best well written fleshed out characters for sure. um let's see, Sith Lord says Second Street on Spidey Iron Man deal. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Biden Drew says I thought I was going to see Calvin and Hobbes and Calvin and Hobbes, and I saw Hobbes and Shaw. That's funny. That's funny. That would be interesting though. That would be interesting. Calvin and Hobbes and Shaw. Sith Lord says, "Have you seen the Bloodshot trailer?" Yes, I have. That one's very interesting. I think this movie is going to be a true testament to not only push like filmmaking standards for superhero movies, but I think it's important that a movie like Bloodshot, getting ready to come out, is well done and is a good movie, because I think it's going to show the viability of more indie comic books being superhero comic books being brought into the films. So we can see that they've obviously Kevin Feige has done a great job with the MCU. DC has definitely had their problems, and one thing I want to say when it comes to Warner Brothers and their DC movies. That I find sad. A lot of people seem to forget. Like, I'm 40 years old, and I grew up on great DC films. I grew up with Christopher Reeve's Superman. I grew up with Michael Keaton Batman. So like Warner Brothers and or even the DC properties, they themselves, they were once the dominant force. I don't care what you think about Batman Returns, Batman, all the cheesy ones after that, Batman Forever and all that stuff. They were the dominant force before. There wasn't really like look at that old school, that 90s Captain America compared was it 90s compared to the Batman films and stuff at the time. There's a huge and noticeable difference there. So, DC used to dominate, the movie industry as far as putting out good films. So I would like to see that come back around. But I think Bloodshot being a good film is going to be important moving into the future of films and superhero films on the big screen. So I think it's important that it does good. One thing I will say is I wish they would have got somebody else other than Vin Diesel. I like Vin Diesel. He's a pretty good actor, but at the same time, he almost seems kind of like a one trick kind of pony as well. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying he's bad, but it seems like he's always just, and this is something I've talked about as well that I think is good too at the same time, but I think it's his kind of downfall is he's just Vin Diesel in a movie. You know what I mean? And that's not in itself a bad thing, but he just doesn't have, like, he doesn't bring as much personality to it. Like I will say, like, look at a Danny DeVito. You go watch any Danny DeVito, he's Danny DeVito in a movie. He brings himself to the role. You know what I mean? Where Vin Diesel is a little bit different than that. So, but I do think I hope it's good, and I look forward to seeing more of. Look forward to seeing that one at the theater as well. Um, let's see. Black Angus review says I can't do F and F movies. Too many blacks, and if Black Angus can't stand something, it's the blacks. Oh man. What's the Fast and Furious movies. Okay, I'm saying like F and F. I was thinking like Fantastic Four, but no, that's FF, not, or that could be Fear Factory. um let's see, Dylan's comic book rant says I think John Wick 3 is better than the second one, no doubt. I still think first is my favorite. I'll have to rewatch though. Yeah, yeah, and I get that. Like I said, a lot of it is because, well, just for the reasons I explained. J528 says John Wick 1 is the best, but I like 2 the most. Interesting, interesting. I think two is a good one as well. Captain Pennsylvania says haven't seen John Wick 2 and 3. They're good. Black Angus says 3 is super weak. John Wick 2 is the supreme. Ah, see, and we've already got a varying degrees of love for the John Wick franchise here. 19K Fox, what's up, my brother? How are you doing? Um, let's see. Black Angus says, "What's up, Foxy lady?" Foxy. uh, Let's see. Perry Comics, what's up, my brother? How are you doing? Hope you're doing well today. James Tamburo, thank you so much for being here. James Tamburo says, hit that like button. Yes, hit the like button, folks. Thank you. I greatly appreciate that. It does help out a small channel like mine. James Tamburo says, showed everyone love in the stream. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Um, and thank you for being here, James Tamburo. Um, Let's see. Captain Pennsylvania says 90s we had a 79 one just bad. 79 one. Are you talking like are you talking Batman's or Superman's there? Guessing you're talking about the Warner Brothers and the DC movies. I'm guessing that's what you're talking about. But yeah, like I said, Warner Brothers they used to and Warner Brothers now owns pretty much owns the DC. But yeah, DC they used to be the dominant force. They used to be the dominant force out there as far as the comic book superhero movies. That's what I grew up on. Um, Let's see. Captain Pennsylvania says, "Thanks, James. Right back at you." Perry Comics says, "I don't know why Trinity reminds me of a truck driver with the headset." Oh, you know what? Because this headset is probably actually designed for truck drivers. They said when I got this in, I actually got this in from the company Plantronics to do a test on and do a review on, and they said that's one of the things it would be good for is for truck drivers. So yeah, and maybe it's because I got my hoodie on, I got my hat on, I got my work gloves on. You hear the traffic out there in the background, like I'm just waiting to hop into my big old 18 wheeler and take off, man. Biden Dirty says, "Oh my God, Batman and Robin was one of the worst movies ever." Oh, come on, man. You don't want to do karate while doing your laundry? You can't dry out your laundry doing karate and hang it up? Come on, bro. That's like groundbreaking movie making right there. I can't even say it with a straight face. Oh man. Um Sith Lord says, yeah, it was a masterful piece of crap. Uh James Tambro says, yes, it was Superman Returns was better. Oh, okay, Superman Returns. Yeah, the one with man, I can't remember the actor's name all of a sudden. That was in that. I thought Superman Returns was good. Again, that was really again done by Bryan Singer, which was I think a safe homage to what had come before it, and just kind of like I feel like the X-Men, his X-Men were too, was they were just a safe homage to the comic books. They were just played a little bit too safe, but they really started off kind of what we're getting in the MCU today. I mean, they really set the template for that stuff. So at some point we got to give some credit to where it's due, I believe. Um, let's see. Captain Pennsylvania says, "Damn, yeah, it was. Oh yeah, we're talking about Batman and Robin again. I know that's what we're talking about here." Perry Comics says, "Never mind, Dylan. Debating McDonald's or Taco Bell for lunch." Um, Perry, you shouldn't be eating that stuff. But if you do, I don't know, maybe Taco Bell, because I love those double decker taco supremes. Biden Dirty says McDonald's. Yeah, certainly McDonald's is, it's not that bad neither. I mean, make sure you get a double quarter pounder with cheese, with no pickles. For some reason, McDonald's is like the only place that I don't like pickles on my sandwiches. Yeah, I know it's weird. It's weird. Um, let's see what other movies came out this year. Obviously, another movie we got this year was Rise of Skywalker. This is another one that has a whole mixed bag of reviews out there that people like it or dislike it on different levels. To me, I've talked about it multiple times here. I thought the movie was pretty good. It has to accomplish too much. It built on what happened in The Force Awakens, where The Last Jedi didn't. It didn't build on what happened in The Last Jedi, and all of those things are bad things. I mean, Last Jedi should have built upon The Force Awakens, and then Rise of Skywalker should have built upon The Last Jedi. No matter how it all went down, like these movies could have been the same movies as long as they built upon what happened, but that's just not what happened. But I think Rise of Skywalker was a good movie. J.J. Abrams, again, like I was talking at the top of the show, when you do a franchise movie, you got your work cut out for you anyway in trying to satisfy fans. I thought Rise of Skywalker was a good movie, but it just tries to accomplish too much. Even the guys at Echo Base Network had said something, and I was talking about this the other day, in that it's like supposed to be like this big spectacle film, but that's not what Star Wars films are, and that's what they've tried to do. So pretty much what Disney has tried to do since they took over Star Wars is try to make these big spectacle films, and that's not what we need, and that's not what we want out of a Star Wars film. We just want a good space adventure movie with these characters, and I think, hopefully they're starting to learn their lessons with some of that stuff. But I thought Rise of Skywalker was pretty good, but it seems to move at that same breakneck pace. And as a matter of fact, and here's a big downside of it is, Avengers: Infinity War was a movie that had a lot crammed into it, and it moved at a really fast pace. It didn't really slow down a whole lot. Like it was like go 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 the whole time, and that's kind of what Rise of Skywalker was, and it really, really. It greatly suffers from that. It greatly suffers from that breakneck pace because, Star Wars movies, for the most part, you go watch any of the prequels, you go watch the original trilogy, they're slower tempo movies. You know what I mean? They don't move at a breakneck pace. Not even what The Force Awakens does. And not even like The Last Jedi is probably the one that follows closer to the template of the originals as far as the pacing of the film. But again, it's just got because it's not super big and grandiose in that way, and it actually has points where there's action and it'll slow down a little bit, let you breathe it in, and then picks back up. So, for all of its faults, that's one thing that it done right in being more like a typical Star Wars movie. But that's if you ask me. But I thought the movie, Rise of Skywalker, and I've talked about it plenty here on the channel. I thought it was pretty good, but again, one that people definitely have mixed feelings about. Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. Or not welcome to, but the next level. This is another one of those movies that I think proves that a sequel can be better than its predecessors. I think it's just a little bit better than Welcome to the Jungle was. I think it's just a little bit better in the fact that we see Kevin Hart starting to come around as being a little bit better of an actor. Dwayne the Rock Johnson, he's getting better in his acting chops. Karen Gillan really carried the movie pretty well as well. And even Jack Black. Jack Black was one of my favorite parts of the first movie where he was sitting there acting like, and I think he was an unsung hero of that first movie. I don't really hear a whole lot of people giving him praise for that because he did an excellent job in playing, a teenage girl throughout that whole movie. It was really good, and I think Welcome or The Next Level was a great movie. It definitely took it to the next level, if you will. And obviously, the way it ends, it sets up the possibility of getting another sequel, and that's not a bad thing. And again, like the first Jumanji movie was really good. I like that one. But again, I think Welcome to the Jungle was a good sequel to that, and just because it built on that and it kind of modernized what the original Jumanji was. But again, it's hard to go out there and try to top a movie that has Robin Williams in it. You can't. It's hard to beat Robin Williams, just because he was so charismatic, and just the way, like he's such a great dramatic actor as well as such a great comedic actor as well. So he brought certain qualities to the table that not everybody has. Um, and that's a hard thing to do when it comes to like a Jumanji. But you know what? There's another remake out there that came out this month, and you can find it on video on demand right now. It's not yet available on disc, but it is another movie I've talked about several times here on the channel, and that is the remake of the 1977 David Cronenberg classic called Rabid. Done by the Saska sisters. An absolutely great film that I think you guys should go out there and watch. You can find it on video on demand, but it's a horror film. It's a body horror film, and I kind of think I've figured out that when it comes to horror films, that's something that I like is body horror films because this movie, man, even like every single time I watch it, it gets better and better. like each with each time I watch it, I'm like, wow, man, this movie is this movie is sick. Like in multiple different ways. It's a really good movie. Um, just like building on basically paying homage to what David Cronenberg had done in his original 1977 film, which actually starred Marilyn Chambers. If you don't know who Marilyn Chambers is, you obviously didn't grow up around the time I did. um, let's see. Sith Lord says, weren't any good horror flicks out this year? Oh, see, and I just got to it, Sith Lord. Go watch Rabid. That one was great. I highly recommend it. Saskia's sister did a great job doing that. I would say the Rabid is for me, you know, and again, I'm just getting back into horror since watching this movie. Just because like it seems like a bunch of, and it's not like a scary movie, you know, it doesn't rely on jump scares or any of that kind of crap to bring you in. It's just a really great movie. Um, Captain Pennsylvania says horror's been falling off. You know, I think horror, like I hear what you're saying, and I felt the same way. I think over this past year, I think horror has been making a comeback. I think it's been making a comeback. It's just it's hard finding those good ones out there. And like I said, I feel really fortunate to have gotten to go see Rabid when it premiered at Screamfest, LA, just back in October. A really great film, and I own it. I did buy it on video on demand, so I could own it. And when it comes out on disc, I will be owning the copy, and I believe that comes out on February 4th on physical disc. But you should definitely go check that out. Dylan's comic book rant says the Grudge looks promising for 2020. Yeah, it certainly does. It certainly does. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about like what are some of your guys' most sought out anticipated films of 2020. I mean, obviously for me, Captain Pennsylvania says my middle name is Marilyn Chambers. Nice. You know, obviously with 2020 is bringing us Wonder Woman 1984, which absolutely looks so good. That movie looks great. Um, you know, Patty Jenkins once again returning to the director's chair to, which I think is a good thing to direct Gal Gadot in the sequel, and that movie looks fire. Every single time I watch that trailer, I get more hyped up to see that film. Which I wish I could say for the Black Widow trailer, but the Black Widow trailer just has me wanting to see the movie anyway because Black Widow is probably now currently one of my favorite characters in Marvel, let alone wanting to see this film. I mean, it's got Scarlett Johansson in it, and she's going to be going out there and kicking ass. And who else we got in? David Harbour. Let's see. Oh man, I can't remember the other actress's name all of a sudden. That's playing not the one that's playing Yelena Belova, but the other one. That's oh man, Rachel Weisz. She's a great actress as well. Um, I can't wait. I can't wait to see the Black Widow movie as well. Obviously, we already talked about Bloodshot. Hope that's going to be a good movie as well. I know there's probably some people out there looking forward to Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Me, I'm not really. I was never really into the game. I mean, I played it. Not like a super huge fan, but I know there's probably some people out there anticipating that, anticipating the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Gosh, what else do we have getting ready to come out this year? Um, Man, I think honestly, I think sometimes there's just too many to remember. We got the new Ghostbusters getting ready to come out, and I gotta say that new Ghostbusters, that first trailer, it did not make me like the slightest bit interested in seeing the film. It's Ghostbusters, so I'll probably go see it anyway, just like I did Ghostbusters 2016. Yeah, I even own it. You want a digital copy of it? Let me know down in the comments below. That's if it still works. Of course, the code probably does still work because they're probably like, please take this movie. Um, let's see what else do we have. What else is getting ready to come out over this next year as far as films? Um, man, uh, yeah, nothing in particular I can think of, but let's see what else you guys have to say. Dylan's comic book rant says, "I think Trinity is right. There's some gems out there, but a lot of garbage you got to weed through." Yeah, definitely. Captain Pennsylvania says Black Widow for 2020. Yeah, man, I can't wait to see Black Widow. And that like I said, that trailer looks sick. Even though they ripped off that Spider-Man Far From Home scene, we all know what scene that is. It's funny too because I remember when I first seen the preview, I was like, Dude, that's the Spider-Man thing. They just reskinned it, just like they did with the Captain Marvel scene that was in the trailer from Iron Man, where they reskinned it. Yeah, they did. They did. They did. I don't care what anybody says. They reskinned it. That's all they did was they just took the CG and overlaid it with the different character. I guarantee it. There's really no denial on it, really. Um, Dylan's comic book rant says for 2020, anything comic book related and anything that looks promising horror wise. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Captain Pennsylvania says we need Conan the Barbarian in the MCU. That would be cool. That would be cool. And since you brought that up, Captain Pennsylvania, who do you think would be a good Conan the Barbarian in the MCU? And please, please don't say The Rock. He plays everything. You know what I'm saying? You need a big buff guy. You just go for The Rock. Ah, I don't know anymore, man. There's got to be somebody else out there. And that reminds me, I recently seen on Twitter somebody had mentioned for the She-Hulk movie or for the She-Hulk TV show, um, they had mentioned getting Gina Carano for that. And I think that's a bad idea. Obviously, she's a very beautiful lady, and she's working on her acting talents, but I don't think she has the acting chops yet to carry a TV show. I mean, I hope to see her develop her skill set over time, but by the time they come to that TV show, I just don't see her being able to carry a whole TV show. I mean, hell, look at Dave Bautista. I've heard many people say about his performance in the movie Stuber and how like it was okay, it might have been an okay movie, but he definitely is not ready to carry a film yet. And I feel the same thing with Gina Carano and trying to bring her in to be She-Hulk. And that's one of the important things is like when you get a main character like that that's supposed to be carrying a show, you've got to get an actor that can do that. And it doesn't always just have to be just some, just because She-Hulk is, a big, menacing hero, just big, or I guess not menacing, but just like a big, larger than life kind of hero, doesn't mean they have to be exactly that. I mean, we're talking about CGI here. I mean, look at Mark Ruffalo. You know what I'm saying? Um, let's see. But Conan the Barbarian would be great. Um, Dado Sakavadze. Sa- I hope I said that right. Says all together, Hugh. All together. Oh, okay. Hugh. I must have missed something here. Are we talking about like Hugh Jackman? Hmm. Sith Lord says it, Conan, but it's got to be rated R. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I would say, I think you could probably do a PG-13. Kind of like the same thing I've said about Daredevil. I think, or not Daredevil, but Deadpool. I think Deadpool could be done PG-13, but again, maybe not for a solo movie, like only crossing into the MCU movies and we're just going to take clever edits to make to do everything that he does just kind of like if you go watch an Austin Powers movie, that to me is exactly what they would have to do with bringing Deadpool into the MCU. Dog School says I'm back, just like Rhodes Rants, I'm back. I'm not sure if you guys follow Rhodes Rants, but he, he's another great creator here on YouTube, and that's one of his little intros he does. I don't know, he's a cool dude, man. You guys should go check him out. Sith Lord says, I want to see Taskmaster and Black Widow throw down. Yeah, me too. That's going to be really good. And, we see there are some hints of what's going on in the trailer there with Taskmaster and stuff like that. It's going to be very interesting going to see that, especially on the big screen. Captain Pennsylvania says, I do want a digital copy. Oh, you do want the digital copy? When I get home, I'll send you that digital copy for Ghostbusters 2016. Um, Let's see. Captain Pennsylvania says, "Wow, I don't know, bro. No Rock. Yeah, no. And the only reason I say that is because I feel like Dwayne the Rock Johnson. He's just like he's overutilized for everything. Like you just need a big buff guy. Yeah, just get the Rock. I think there's probably plenty of other talent out there that can be brought into the role. And speaking of which, I've seen some people out there. This recent rumor going around again that Daniel Radcliffe is being looked at for the role of Moon Knight in the MCU. Um, and I think that's a good idea. He's a great pick. He's a great talent. But for me, the one thing I'm like, everybody's talking about him possibly being Moon Knight. How come I don't hear anybody talking about him being Wolverine? He's a perfect age for it. He's definitely got the talent to be Wolverine, and he's got the look. He's got the stature for it. He's short, just like Wolverine. I think, especially with a guy that size, it's easy to get him into the weight room and get him to be buff. Because I don't think Daniel Radcliffe is just a small little scrawny dude neither. But I think he would be perfect for the role of Wolverine. But that's if you ask me. That's if you ask me. But I do think that he would be great. I know a lot of other people have been talking about what's that guy's name out there? Taron, not Taron. Uh, man, is it Taron? The guy from The Kingsman. Um, some people have been talking about him coming in to be Wolverine. I don't know. I think he's got the talent and stuff like that. He kind of has the look. He's a little bit taller than Wolverine would be, but I think I'm surprised that I don't hear anybody talking about Daniel Radcliffe being Wolverine in the MCU. It just seems odd to me that nobody's saying that. Let's see. Captain Pennsylvania says, I don't want Rock as Conan anybody but him. Yeah, definitely. Dylan's comic book rant says, Mark Ruffalo is a great actor though. Yeah, he is good. If you want to see a good Mark Ruffalo movie besides like 13 going on 30, which I think is a good movie, go watch Spotlight. Spotlight is a great film. Great film. Um, that I think more people should watch. Um, let's see, everybody, yeah, kind of agrees. Somebody else for Conan, because yeah, I mean, does Dwayne the Rock Johnson? He's just going to take like he can't be everything. You know what I mean? Sith Lord says, yeah, he just don't fit Conan, even though I like the Rock. Yeah, me too. I like the Rock. Pennsylvania says he's kind of stout. Oh, Daniel Radcliffe, I'm guessing. Yeah. Uh, Dylan's comic book rant says, yeah, yeah, but can he awaken that inner beast like Hugh Jackman did? I think he can. I think he can. I really think Daniel Radcliffe could. I think he could do that. He's got the talent. I think he definitely could. Taron Egerton. Okay, yeah, I was right. Yeah, Taron Egerton. Um, yeah, and I think he would. I think he could be a decent. I think he could be a decent uh, Wolverine as well. But I think he might actually be a good Johnny Storm. I think he could be a good Johnny Storm in the MCU. To be honest with you, um, Odin's movie blog. What's up? How are you doing? Thank you so much for being here. Wished upon a blog. Thank you so much for being here. Um, Odin's movie block says Danny Rad can sing and dance just like you. Just saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Daniel Radcliffe, I think, would be. Yeah, I think he'd be a great actor to be Wolverine. Definitely. And I remember there was, on somebody else's uh, video before I had mentioned that when that kind of rumor was going around too, and people were like, "Oh no, not Daniel Radcliffe." It's like it's the same thing with Robert Pattinson as Batman. Everybody's just looking at like, "Oh, he's Harry Potter. He can't do that." Like, come on, guys. Like, you're typecasting people yourself. Like, he has the talent. I mean, he carried how many movies was that? 6, 7 movies with the Harry Potter franchise, and he was a kid. He was a kid and pretty much an unknown actor at that time. So I think he definitely has the talent to come in and be Wolverine in the MCU. And like I said, he's short and he's stout, and like all you got to do is put him in the weight room for a little while, and he don't look like a out of shape guy anyway. So I think he would be good. I think he would be good. But just like I was saying, people talking about Taron Egerton, I think he would be probably be a good Johnny Storm. To tell you the truth. But all right, guys. Let's see. Uh, who else we got here? Biden Dirty says, greetings wished. Captain Pennsylvania says, remember, most of us hated Hugh as Wolverine. Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of people didn't like it. I liked Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I mean, he brought a lot to the role. He certainly had the talent and everything that he brought with it. And some people still didn't like him because he was too tall, which I get that. But you know, they did what they could. They did what they could. And to me, I just think that the Bryan Singer X-Men films, when they came out, which, like I said, they'd set the template for what we're getting now. I still think that the Bryan Singer movies were very safe homages to what we got in the comic books. I think he just played it a little bit too safe. And then by the time they tried to stray away from that a little bit, it didn't work out for Fox so much. And then they ended up going back to Bryan Singer, which I think was a good thing. Just because the way the films were done and the way he had done them, I think it would have been best left in his hands to complete most of those movies, which they obviously did. Um, Sith Lord says Heath Ledger is still my favorite Joker. I like Heath Ledger as Joker, but I still argue the the Jack Nicholson is the best Joker, and I still think Heath Ledger benefited from the better made movie and the better written character. I think even to this day, Jack Nicholson could go film that movie today and still do better and be the better Joker. But again, that's Jack Nicholson as well. So there's a lot to be said there for that as well. And yes, I'm talking about 80-year-old Jack Nicholson or however old he is, Jack Nicholson. But Heath Ledger did do a good Joker, and I still even think and that was another one we forgot to talk about too. Um, Joker that came out this year was absolutely definitely one of the breakout hits of the year. I think a lot of that is due to the filmmaker that did it. Todd Phillips is, I can't say he's a great filmmaker, but he is a good filmmaker. And that movie was definitely in his wheelhouse to do. I believe he also did, was it Starsky and Hutch? Which I thought was a pretty funny movie, as well as obviously the Hangover movies. I only watched the first Hangover movie. I didn't watch part two or three to know how those ended up panning out. But obviously, he did Old School as well, which is actually a very phenomenal movie. Old School is one of my favorite movies of the 2000s. Um, Bishop Palm Vlog says, "Are you gaming outside? You look you look like a cold weather gamer, pro gamer just now." No, no. I'm currently on vacation at my sister's house, and they're all inside. I guess they're all awake now, probably eating and everything. But I was just trying to be quiet. Didn't want to be all loud in the house because I'm pretty loud. I'm a loudmouth. But let's see. Dylan's comic book rant says Heath Ledger made that movie, but that's my opinion. Jack did amazing, but nothing on what Heath Ledger brought to that role. He stole that movie from Christian Bale. Yeah, I think so. And the thing is the only reason to me Heath Ledger's is better is because he had the better made movie. He had the more well written character, and what's his name? Tim Burton. I'm not really a big fan of Tim Burton in the first place, and I think he's even come out on record one time said, "I don't read comic books. Like, what are you talking about?" And which is kind of funny because he made the Batman 1989, and then even its predecessor or the movie that came after that, its successor, I guess, in Batman Returns. And I'm not a big Tim Burton fan anyway, but I think, but again, a lot of that would just be due to Jack Nicholson is just a better actor. So that's why I think Jack Nicholson would still be a better Joker. But obviously, with the Joker that we got this year, Joaquin Phoenix did one hell of a job with that film, and it is a great film. Um, and yeah, it was just a well-made film, man. That's really all I can say about that. But anyway, guys, that's really all I've got for today. We've already been going for an hour and a half. I'm going to go in here and get some breakfast, and then I believe we're going to be going to Bruce Lee's grave today to check out the Lee grave site. Should be a good time. I mean, we've been up here several times to Seattle and never been to it. Um, I'm not sure if we're gonna go to, but I really want to go to the Experience Music Project as well. If you guys ever get out here to Seattle, definitely go to the Experience Music Project, the EMP. It's a very odd shaped building, but it's got like a history of music all the way, man, like basically a history of music and instruments and stuff. It's a really cool place. And if you get a chance to go to, I'm not a big Seahawks fan or anything. I'm not a Seahawks fan at all. But their stadium, I've been there for a playoff game when the Bears were supposed to be playing the Seahawks in a playoff game and the Panthers ended up beating them. We went to that game and dude, that place is loud AF, man. That place is loud. So yeah, if you ever get a chance, you should definitely check that out. But just I think we're probably going to be headed to Pike's Place as well. I'm going to go out and have a very good day here in the out here in the Seattle area. But that's all I have for this video today, folks. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the morning movie chat. I do greatly appreciate any time that you guys show up to watch me flap my gums about stuff that maybe I just pretend to know about them. But you all have a very good day. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you guys tomorrow on the morning movie chat. Later. Oh.